We are the silent witnesses left behind to the destruction and chaos, to the expansion of all kinds of atrocities and horrors that many of us can only imagine that have taken place all around the world. The media doesn't even begin to tell the story. Part of that story we're going to find at Fort Mifflin in a few weeks. We are the silent witnesses in every movie they show. There's a Fed someplace. I was watching Godfather. In the very beginning of the movie, when little Vito, I believe he's 8 or 9-year-old boy coming from Italy, is in Ellis Island, and all of these Moors with feds are walking around in the immigration. They're not part of the script. They don't have any part to say. They're not doing anything, just kind of walking around in the crowd and this and that. So the implication is that they're there, but they're not doing anything. Why? Because they're silent witnesses. We have been silent witnesses to the takeover of our empire. Because the encroachment was so slow, we didn't realize it until it was too late. And once it was too late, everybody had forgotten Islam. No one knew what to do. So every challenge came with force, as you talk about, because that was the only way people knew to fight. And the most powerful way to fight, people thought, was weak. Because normally people think that if you sit around and you don't talk much, you're not important. You don't know anything, because if you did, you would certainly talk about it. Rather than to think the most wise talk the least. We have been silent witnesses to murder, to theft, to rape. And when I say murder, I don't mean just some random murder. I'm talking about calculated, premeditated, well-planned murders of masses of people, individuals and masses of people over a period of time. Total genocide. When we talk about AIDS, we talk about mass murder. When we talk about the flu, we talk mass murder. When we talk hepatitis, we talk mass murder. When we talk meningitis, we talk mass murder. It doesn't appear to be mass murder because it doesn't have that name flashed all across the media that says physical violence. There was gunshots today, and 7 people were shot. Not that there was an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease and 7 people were killed. It doesn't appear to be mass murder. It is.
Like syphilis, and when they finally discovered that, they deliberately kept those men with syphilis.
Yes, and let me tell you this. Syphilis comes from what? Having sex with animals. You will not get syphilis having sex with a Moor. More specifically, syphilis is a disease from mouth to sexual organ contact with animals. You can't get syphilis any other way. So when people talk syphilis, you see what I'm saying? When they talk syphilis in our community, they're talking one thing: injection into your bloodstream. Because there's not that many of us out there oral sex with animals, okay? That's the only way to get syphilis. And in those communities where there are lots, and there are communities out there where people are having sex with animals, okay, let's face it, that's reality, they're going to have syphilis. So, right, when you talk syphilis in our communities, you're talking mass murder. We have been silent witnesses to those things. Now, power moves in silence, but there's a silence we cannot keep, and that's the silence of our internal power. The reason that Moors wear red. That red of the Moors means something very powerful, and this is why in no other culture can the women wear a red turban. And the placenta red, red of the fez means that there's a son born of that woman who wears red, who can wear that red turban. There's nobody else in the world who can wear that red turban except us. Now, why is red such a powerful color? Why do we wear it? That red, in both of these cases, translates to spiritual power. In other words, if you have the audacity to wear red on your head, you have the capacity of spiritual destruction. That's a lot of power. So we should not wear red turbans arbitrarily. Our white feathers with the gold tassel is a symbol of peace and rulership and government. And this is why I said to you a long time ago, we need to stop wearing those red turbans. Not permanently, but the time is not yet, and we need to be very selective when and where we wear it. We didn't know that before. But this is spiritual power and spiritual war. No one can exact a spiritual war the way a Moorish woman can. You know the saying, hell hath no fury, like that of a woman scorned. This is why. When she wears her red bonnet, so we will be silent as silent witnesses on the outside. But on the inside, we'll be wearing our war bonnet. So we're going to have events coming up where we're going to pay particular attention to wear our turbans instead of this. The testament to this power is the fact that, I don't know if you know, that the islands all over the world, predominantly the islands in this hemisphere, were not occupied by Moors until about the 15th, 16th century. And it was during the time that the Albions began to take over. And the Moorish women were conducting ceremonies. They were known as witches. And anyone who was known to practice witchcraft, they couldn't burn them, as the story is told. Because what happens to a wish when you burn it? You send its spirit soaring into the Elohim. So they didn't physically burn us at the stake. That would be too dangerous. They even tried, and it scared them to death, of cutting off our heads and even killing us. But it got to a point where the power, even in killing us, was not releasing them and not giving them what they wanted. So they had to come up with another method of getting rid of us. And that method was to immobilize us and maroon us on islands. And that's why all of the islands of the world are populated by our people. We did not go there and occupy those islands voluntarily because they were too isolated. Most of them, until recent times, I'd say in the past 20, 30 years, did not even have ports and docks big enough to receive cargo ships. Even in, and I can tell you this personally, even in the island of St. John, it wasn't until early 90s that they had a dock big enough to receive a cargo ship. Okay? Okay? All they had was ferry boats and little fishing boats that could dock on the island, but no ship. The water wasn't deep enough to receive a ship, first of all, and second of all, they had no piers to receive a ship. So all of the houses were like moderate construction and this and that, and it wasn't until, like I said, in the 90s could they do massive construction on the island because they had no way to get those building materials onto the island. So now, how in the world did all of these so-called slaves get to those islands? They couldn't. They had to, all of their people had